I was just patient, never try skating. Fuck niggas hating.
So you meet a woman and she carries herself with a certain level of class that gives you the impression that she comes from a background of respect, culture, morality, spirituality, and you think being a good man is an approach that she'd be susceptible to or receptible to, and she'd be able to communicate on your frequency, so to speak. And then there's a couple of things that you'll notice that happen when you talk to a woman coming from a good man standpoint. Let's be clear that that's what I'm talking about, because there's three ways that a woman can get her needs met, but there's ways that men get their needs met as well. Men, we're a little bit more simple than women, but three ways a woman gets her needs met is either one, directly, where the things that she's looking for, regardless what they are, if they're sex, money, or love, she'll tell you directly, and she'll give you direct signs of what she's looking for. This can look like whatever her intentionality is and her character is. So a rude, conceited woman might tell you up front, "You got any money? My time costs." But my point is, one way that a woman could communicate is directly. The second way she can communicate is in a more passive approach, where she does this thing where she acts like she's going with your flow. And so you feel like you have the lead. And the only flow she's really going with is a flow that she approved of. So she's not really going with your flow. She's going with your flow is pretty much allowing you to do everything. And you feel like, okay, cool. You feel like because you're the man and you're leading the situation that she's going with your flow. But really, if you ever suggested anything that she wasn't interested in, she would pump the brakes. But when you are in the midst of going with the flow with the woman, you are volunteering services, you are trying to be helpful, you are paying for all the dates, and you find yourself dishing out but not receiving. Okay, so that's the second way that she'll get her needs met, is by being passive. And the third way a woman gets her needs met is through seduction or coercion or manipulation. Love bombing and things that she does to confuse you and to give you an illusion, and she uses deception and mind games. Okay, or she plays with your lust. You see these women, they're walking around half naked, and then the men who approach these type of half naked women, she's outside and her whole body showing. I mean, come on, bro. If we used our heads, then we'd know what her intentionality is and as to what she's looking for, even though she doesn't say it out loud. But she has drawn you into her, therefore use seduction or coercion or manipulation or love bombing and things of this nature to get her needs met. Okay. Now, as far as men, when we are done with the games, we've grown up and we've matured and we decided that we want something more sustainable and healthy and long term. And if we can't get it that way, then we just stay single, because that makes the most sense. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes the most sense, as we've learned lessons throughout our lives and we are tired of learning the same lesson over and over. We want to pass that test and go to the next level. Okay, so we're looking for a woman who's more long-term material, more, even if we don't believe in getting married or want to get married, we want someone who resembles wifey-like material or quality. Okay, so you meet a woman who carries herself in this fashion. You think to yourself when you meet her, okay, I think I have a catch. This woman carries herself with a certain level of class, dignity, integrity, so you believe. And what you'll find out sooner or later, if she is not who she actually appears to be, is that this woman has never even been with a good man before in her life. Now, why is this even relevant? Well, it's kind of like the movie Coming to America, when in the beginning of the movie, they picked his future wife for him. And this woman was raised and trained to be a queen. So she was trained to be fully submissive, to the point where he had her standing on one foot and barking like a dog. And this is another thing on the side note I want to say that's going on in modern dating, and something that we need to keep in the back of our minds. And I definitely will expound on it in a future video. But there's another scheme that's going on in this realm of life where women are being submissive or fake submissive or portraying to be a submissive woman. The thing is, she'll do what you say because, or she'll do what you ask because in the end she wants half. So a woman thinking long-term security, she'll be submissive up front. She'll be with you as long as things are going up, as long as things are progressing. You guys are about to buy a house together. Of course, you're probably taking care of all the bills. She'll do what you ask because in the end, she wants half. So up front, her payment for what she wants to receive from you down in the down the road is her submissiveness. And see, this is not real love. Okay, this is not authentic. So a woman feeling like her submissiveness requires she's using submissiveness as a transaction that's no different from going to go get a job, except for your submissiveness does get you a paycheck or hourly wage or something like that. But she's treating this relationship or situation as a transaction as well. Okay, so that needs to be expounded on, because men are, especially a lot of alpha males, they make these content and these videos where they're arguing with women about her being submissive, and you have women saying, "Oh, I'm not going to just be submissive to any man." These women are still showing you their intentionality. Okay, they use one of those three methods to get their needs met, and the third one is by way of manipulation, coercion, or seduction. And see, one thing that is definitely going to capture the mind of most men, especially men who don't have a moral compass or discernment, the ability to be a wise judge of character, they're going to think that a submissive woman is a wife. But ultimately, she uses her submissiveness as a down payment, so to speak, on a future investment with you, which is being able to walk away and take this house, which is being able to walk away and receive alimony, child support, spousal support, half your wages, half of your business, half the cars. Okay, so that's a whole nother conversation. That's something that needs to be put in the back of your mind. But moving back to my point here, when you meet a woman who upholds herself in a classy, mature way, and there's going to be some subtle signs that you're going to see that this woman has never even been with the real man before in her life. But here goes the caveat to that. Women hijack terms, and one of those terms would be a real man. You'll hear women try to explain to a man what a real man is, and a woman doesn't have that ability. Okay, she doesn't have that ability, especially a woman who hasn't had a real man in her life. Somebody to set a good example. Having a man who tricks and panders to your every need is not, that's going to set a standard for her, but that's not going to. That's her perception of what a good man is. Okay, let's jump right into it. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I just felt like it was a couple of things that needed to be clear on before I say what I'm going to say, in case anyone's going to get confused by it. Okay, so one way you'll know that she's never been approached by a man with good intentions, therefore a good man, okay, who doesn't lead with sex and unearned validation. Okay, you, good man. You approach a woman respectfully because the way she carries herself. You want to give her that reciprocal energy. Okay. You ask questions to get to know her on a more personal, spiritual, and intellectual level. She is not accustomed to this, and you know this by number one. She is legit confused as to why you're actually trying to vet her. Now, if you're talking to a woman and she is confused as to why you are actually trying to vet her, she's like, the fact that you are asking questions, the fact that you are being intentional is confusing. And she's like, why are you asking me that? And it's basic questions. We see it in videos all the time. And I go through this regularly where I'm talking to a woman and she's like, why? You ask a woman where she's from. You got any kids? She's like, why? questions that you don't know the answer to because you don't know this woman, but you are asking this woman questions to get to know her and properly vet or court her respectfully as a man, because you see, or she is, the perception that you have of her is classy and respectful, and she's confused as to why you're asking classy and respectful type of questions. She's never been in the presence of a good man. She's never dated or been involved with a man who had pure and good intentions for her. Okay, that's one sign right there that she's never. Why would you asking regular questions be a bother or be confusing? Men don't approach her like that. She's confused. She's never had that before. And see, here goes a piece of validation that I don't even need. When I drop a video and I validate men and then they validate me back by clicking like and leaving comments, I know that I'm not alone in the world as far as my intentions, as far as dating goes, right? So I know that there's other good men in the world other than myself. That's the nature of my content. So that tells me, if I know that there's other good men that relate to what I'm saying, that these women are not being approached by good men because we confuse them. We throw them off. They are not familiar with us. And then we feel like, am I doing the wrong thing? Am I asking the wrong question? That's why I have to validate men. No, you're not. This woman has not been approached by a good man before. She is not accustomed to that. You are strange. And she is confused. That's sign number one, that she has never been approached or involved with a good man before, regardless of what level of class she appears to have. Number two, she can't identify with you. So you know a woman can't identify with you when the things that you say, again, don't resonate. And she's confused or she's combative. Maybe if she's not being disrespectfully combative and argumentative, then what you say is she disagrees with everything. She's like, and you know where you're coming from is a place of purity. But you're talking to this woman and she's like, I don't agree with that. We can agree to disagree. And you're like, what is there to disagree with? You want to know where she's coming from. Now you're confused because you're like, I'm saying things that make sense, that are rational, that are logical. I'm saying things that are pure and my intentions are obvious. But this woman, it feels challenged. This woman feels like I'm like a piece of her is almost coming off as if she thinks you're trying to manipulate her, as if you're trying to sell her a dream, as if you are trying to play with her mind. But all you're doing is being genuine and authentic. Because again, you as a good intentioned man, you see a potential in her that she doesn't even have really. You know, she carries herself in this classy way, in this cultured way, you know, in this respectful way, as if she has standards. But when you talk to her, it's confusing because it's like, she doesn't even understand what I'm talking about. And I thought I was talking to somebody who was on my level. Number three, she doesn't know how to answer your questions because she's never been held to the standards in which you're inquiring. So you asking a woman what she's looking for long term, and you asking a woman what are her goals and what's her aspirations. You ask a woman stuff like what type of qualities does she look for in a man, and what kind of traits and you know, things like that. When you're asking her things that's way beneath the surface that are long term, that clearly articulate a woman's intentionality or what her standards would be, what she'd set for herself. Like a man has to do this, and she'll say typical stuff. We're not even talking about the women who deem good men boring, that say, oh, he has to be 6 feet, he has to have 6 figures, he has to have a 6-pack. We're not talking about that. I'm not even thinking about them in this video. Okay. We're talking about a woman who you have deemed to be classy, a woman that you have deemed to be non-superficial, a one that you're talking to and you're like, you thought that she had wifey qualities and that, somebody that you can finally vet and court long-term and respectfully, but only to find out that this woman doesn't know how to answer your questions, because it's almost as if this woman is like, I've never been asked that question before. And now the thing is, if you have met a woman who's never been asked that question before, that's fine. But a good intentioned woman has no problem with answering your questions because she knows that you are trying to vet her in order to properly get to know her. Actually, she enjoys the fact that you ask questions because you are not leading with your little man. You are not asking her questions that show in your intentionality to only be seeking something more transactional yourself or sexual yourself. So this woman, if had good intentions herself, your questions would excite her. Women like to talk. Women want someone who knows how to listen. So you asking her a question and then you listening to those answers will play into that narrative. But what you'll notice with a woman who has not been exposed to a good man, she doesn't know how to answer your questions. This could be via text message or it can be over the phone. You will stump them. I have several videos on my channel about questions that will stump modern women. And it dawned on me that modern women don't know how to answer these basic questions I list in these videos because they have never been asked these questions because most typically men approach them with sex. Men approach them, and even to lead with sex doesn't necessarily always mean that you said, "Hey, mom, why you look so delicious?" Even though that is clearly leading with sex, overly complimenting her appearance, that's leading with sex. But also offering to take a woman on a date before you even asked her a few questions can also be perceived as leading with sex. You think that you want to the proper way to go about dating a woman is to ask her on a date before you've even asked her a couple of questions that are pertinent as to what you're looking for. That shows her he offered to take me on the date. He qualifies to be one of the men who ride on my bench or on my roster. You didn't qualify to be a man who's properly vetting her and trying to get to know her. You didn't ask any questions. But what you find out as a good man when you're asking a woman questions is that she can't sustain a conversation where multiple questions are being asked because she's not accustomed to talking to pure intentioned men who intentionally try to vet her properly and court her. She's never been held to that kind of standard. Number 4, she'd be intimidated because she doesn't know what your angle is. Again, this shows the lack of high quality options. People with good character, men with good character have not approached her. She doesn't know what your angle is. She's confused. She's like, is this man trying to manipulate me? Or is this actually a good man? Okay. And so this is what she's going to start to, be more reserved and calculated with her responses. And you'll feel the shift in energy where it was a more, when you first meet someone, you're excited, especially somebody that you say, okay, she qualifies. And then what happens is the excitement dwindles and it starts being more of a challenging and more contemptuous energy where it's like resistance that's being introduced because she doesn't know where you're coming from. What's your angle? You plotting on me. Like Major Pain, right? So this woman isn't accustomed to being approached by good men. She doesn't have a standard that's set up to where bad boys and modern men can't approach her. Or she doesn't even believe that good men exist, or bare minimum has never experienced a good man. If she's experienced a good man in the past, we're not all the same. We all have individuality, but we do the same things. Again, validation for what I just said right there is the fact that I'm someone that you don't know personally, but I can say something that you resonate with or that resonates with you. Therefore, clearly, great minds think alike. Okay? And I can speak on a woman that you've met that I've never met through this video, and it resonates with that. Yeah, that was the one I just talked to. Yeah. I don't even know her. How do we come to these determinations? Because patterns, more people are alike than you think. Yes, we are still individuals, so we're not identical, but it's good men think alike, good women, bad women, modern men. There's categories that you fit in. Okay, she'd be intimidated because she doesn't know what your angle is. She's like, I'm trying to figure you out, man. Normally, guys who look like you and, guys that approach me, they're a waste of my time and they're players and they talk a good game. Who are you? Lastly, number 5, she'd slow play you, okay, for no apparent reason. She'll feel more comfortable with a bad boy. This woman would back off. She'd slowly start ghosting you. She'd respond to you less. I mean, you'll be confused. You'd be confused because you're like, what's going on here? I didn't say, what did I say something? She hasn't been exposed to a good man. She is accustomed to being talked to a certain kind of way. And you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't disrespect this woman. You didn't lead with sex. You are on a level that she has never experienced before. This is proof. She backed off. I'm not talking about, oh, she doesn't, good men are boring. If that's the case, bro, those women are irrelevant. Good men, we're not concerned with that. These men making these videos to justify their own behavior in deciding to be bad boys and making a conscious decision to be trifling and tell lies and manipulate women and remain detached while they're dealing with women so that they never get their feelings hurt. That's not the angle that we take. So we're not concerned with women who don't like us. So a woman who doesn't like a good man because he's boring, bye. That's irrelevant. We don't even have those conversations. If a woman doesn't show us reciprocal energy, she doesn't qualify to be in our presence. We are not going to adjust who we are so that we get a woman who doesn't like us. That's something for bad boys. Bad boys go and get millions of dollars worth of jewelry if they can afford it. And they go rent cars and they put on Balmain jeans and they put on the aesthetics and they jump in the gym and they gain 6-packs and 12-packs and stuff like that so that they can gain more attention from bad women. The IG models, don't get me started. I'm very aware of what's going on in the internet right now. I just chose not to speak on it. Okay, with Mr. Shannon Sharp, you know what I'm saying? You're almost 60 years old, but you date IG and OnlyFans models. We're not gonna talk about that. I made a conscious decision not to talk about that. But bad boys do that. They date IG models. They date women, intentionally date women that they don't have to get emotionally involved with. They intentionally date women who have options. They intentionally date women that don't require more of them as far as a exclusive and committed relationship. They intentionally move throughout their life and avoid settling down. Okay, but somebody who has more pure intentions, who is more monogamous, okay, this man is going to experience, not women who think we're boring. We wouldn't even talk to them. If I tell a joke and you don't laugh, then, show's over. But the thing is that there's going to be women that you approach that you might think are qualified and classy and have standards, and that you soon learn that she doesn't even know how to respond to a good man. She ghosts you. She's like, she's not familiar. She's not comfortable. Okay, so these are a few ways that you'll know that a woman has never even encountered a good man before, as to why her it throws you off. And it throws. Sorry about that. Just got a text message. That's why her behavior is the way it is, and this is proof. This video was just proof that she has never experienced a good man. And now, what could you do? In closing, what could you do? You don't make any adjustments. Like I said earlier, you don't make any adjustments to who you are, but we don't force anything either. If the woman wants to let her go. If she goes through life experiences and then it dawns on her that, oh, he was a good guy. Because trust me, women, they know when you're a good guy. They walk away and then they say, I had an opportunity with a good guy. I just wasn't ready for him. Okay, when women are ready for a good man, they will step up to the plate. They will answer your questions. They will recognize your value. You don't have to sell yourself to a woman, brother. And I'm not saying this from a place of pride and ego. That's not the nature of my content. I'm saying that be who you are, and you will naturally be received by somebody who sees your value, and things will naturally progress in an organic manner. And if she's not ready, there's nothing that you can do. If she's never been exposed to a man like you, there's nothing you can do. If she doesn't know how to handle it, if it's a standard that she hasn't reached in her world, in her mind, in her life, there's nothing that you can do. You move along, you maintain your peace, and eventually what is meant for you will fall in your lap. That requires that you have faith. So I'm not trying to sell you a dream. If you don't have any faith, what I just said sounded like some fairy tale stuff, and that's something that I cannot help you with. If you like the video, if it resonates with you, or any kind of reason you found it was helpful, please give me a like, comment, or subscribe. But if you are new to my channel, my name is Jerome, and this has been another episode of The Superb Word. Until next time, though, 2 fingers. All right.